Patrick, guess what came in the mail today?
Oh, what?
This.
Stick it in!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the much anticipated return of the M&K Productions Podcast. I'm your host, Mac, joined here as usual with my co-host, Kristen, who just came back from her vacation in Nashville. How you doing, Kristen?
I'm good. I'm all Nashville'd out. Spent some time with my family. We went on a family trip, and it was a good time.
There you go.
Share my thoughts in a little bit, but I'm doing well. But we have a guest today, and it's one of our favorite guests, I must say.
Yes, it is our boy, Dominic. I almost said Mysterio, but it's Dom from Talking TV Podcast. He's joining us.
I wouldn't even been mad if you had said the Mysterio thing. I would have just found that funny.
Oh
I
my
would have been like,
goodness.
"Oh, I'm a Spider-Man villain now."
I would have been freaking out if that was if
Yeah,
you
right?
said something like Jake Gyllenhaal related.
No, you're
Right.
Rey Mysterio's tall son in this case. But welcome back, Dom. You've been popping up.
I have.
We've done 2 live streams together, which were super fun. And
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
I
That
heard
last
one
listen.
was pretty wild.
Listen, I'm surprised that I didn't get canceled after that last one. That was
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what was going. I was I was having a good time, but I was definitely on a little bit of demon time for sure.
Listen. It's okay. It's fine. We didn't say anything bad, and I think it was
We didn't.
perfect. But it was fun.
good.
Yeah, you've been popping up, man, and
I
we're
have.
excited to have you back on more.
Yeah, I'm
recently.
happy to be back. Yeah, I was just so busy with school, and I was like, you know what? These guys have been helping me out so much for the last year now with, just guest hosting my podcast like crazy. I'm like, time for me to, to show the love a little, So anytime you guys invite me on, as long as it works with my schedule, I'm happy to hop on. And like I said, Mac, I had such a blast ranking first the MCU, then the DCEU. I can't wait to see what other EUs we end up ranking going forward. But
Maybe we could do the Dark Universe with its one movie.
yeah, all of it's one movie, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Dom, you are coming on for a couple of other episodes in the future for
Yes,
the
I am.
summer. I must
Yes,
say,
I am.
but we will announce the schedule at the end
Well,
of the show.
they already know it. We're gonna do Madam Web next. We're gonna do a watch along.
Oh,
That's probably
man.
gonna be live.
I've
and I can't
avoided
wait.
that movie like the plague, and you guys are. This shows how much I like you guys. I'm finally watching it just for you guys.
I might have to
I
get
love
alcohol for
that.
that one.
We all
I'm
get to
absolutely
suffer
getting
together.
alcohol for that.
We all get to suffer together again.
The
and then we just have
anti-movie
to
of
make
our
sure we
time,
get
right,
wrong.
Mac?
Yes, I'm excited to revisit this just peak cinema. Probably the best film of the year, of course. But anyway, yes.
Have we ever got in a situation before where it's the most talked about movie of the year that nobody saw? Has that ever happened yet?
But it's being watched
Morbius?
on Netflix. A
Well,
lot
I mean,
of
that's
people are
true.
watching.
That's easier because it's like I got nothing better to do. Let's just watch Madam Web.
Yeah,
like
true.
this is a good
True.
prank. But this episode we're gonna just go over some quick news topics, and then our topic of the day we're gonna be talking about a documentary into the Australian life, aka Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, and then we'll wrap it up. What we've been watching and what we're gonna go see soon. So are y'all ready to get started?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but
Oh yeah,
really
so
quickly, should I recap my Nashville trip really quickly?
yeah, how
Yes.
was your visit to Bourbon Country?
Bourbon Country.
That's
It
Kentucky.
was-
Oh shit!
That's why I was like, what are you
Whoops.
talking about? And I was like,
Let's
wait,
try, Mac.
what?
Cut that out. Whoops.
That's your editing job. So, but before we get into it, my Nashville trip was really fun. I got to taste a lot of great whiskey. I'm not a whiskey drinker to begin with, but I had a lot of great whiskey. So, and I had official like Tennessee whiskey because it's different from whiskey. So that was really good. And I got to see a lot of like breweries and stuff and see what's happening down there. Had a lot of good drinks. Food was incredible. I had biscuits and gravy for the first time.
Biscuits and gravy.
And it was so good. Like
You've never had
I
biscuits and
very-
gravy?
no, because I'm like very health conscious. So I kind of always like stayed away from that. It was very rare. Like I got like, stuff. And I'm not also a fried chicken person. Like I don't like meat on the bones.
Understandable.
So I had that for the first time. And then like I had one of the popular restaurants I went to with my family. It was like the very first place we went to was called Hattie B's.
Ooh.
And that chicken was spicy. Like, I'm telling you, like, the hottest that they had, they were gonna make you sign like a waiver. And I was to the point where I was like thinking in the back of my head, should I sign it and like try it and be like YOLO?
YOLO.
Did you?
No, I wanted to, like,
Oh,
deep down
man.
inside, I would have, because I like trying like really, really spicy stuff. I love spice to begin with. So I always like to put hot sauce on stuff. So I really wanted to do it, but I was like, I don't want to get sick on the first day
Yeah.
of my vacation. So, but then not just that, I saw all of my Taylor Swift stuff I wanted to see. So I got to see Centennial Park. I saw the bench. I saw the bench that, she writes about in her song. So I went to the Country Music Hall of Fame. I saw like all her memorabilia stuff, so I was very excited about that. But there was a lot of bachelorette stuff. Like I was talking to a lot of people, and I was saying, look, Nashville is the new Las Vegas. I'm putting that out there, and I know a lot of people like who are like female friends of mine who are going to Nashville for their bachelorette, and I'm like, after what I saw, I was like, okay, it makes sense, because the nightlife, the drunk, the buses, the everything. It just makes sense.
The everything.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it sounds like the spot. I've been meaning to go to Nashville for a minute, and I really, this makes me want to
It's
go
a
even
fun
more.
city, but it's kind of like Vegas, because you only need like 4 days to like do everything. It's like
Right.
it's not like Disney or like a beach where you want to spend a lot of time there. It's like, no, you just spend like 3 or 4 days and then you had enough.
Got it.
So, but no, it was a good time. I had fun. I got to feed lorikeets, which are like little birds, and my husband was really excited about that. And we got to do that for his birthday, and yeah, it's all a good time.
But anywho, let's get into
Let's get into news.
the news.
This is CNN, a network of Turner Broadcasting System.
All right, so the news. So we're gonna have Kristen start us off. Kristen, what is the news that you got for us?
Okay, so this is my first piece of news that I am very excited about. No, I'm not going to talk about Cillian Murphy and the Peaky Blinders greenlit movie of the Peaky Blinders film that's going to come out on Netflix. But no, I'm talking about Cillian Murphy's Berlin drama film, Small Things Like These, has been acquired by Lionsgate. And I am so excited because I got to read the book. It was a simple read, less than like 120 pages, read it in a week, loved it, heard some good things about it coming from the Berlin Film Festival, and now we're getting it. So I just need a release date. There's no been a release date yet, but I'm excited for this film. It's the world of Cillian Murphy, and we're just all just absorbing it and just loving it.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, he's coming back for 28 years later.
Yes, he is. He's
Yes,
coming
he
back for
is.
that. What's it called? Yeah, like I said, I'm very excited about the Peaky Blinders movie, especially since it took me a year, but I'm finally actually getting into Peaky Blinders. And I'm like, okay, I understand why Nolan cast him in Oppenheimer after doing what was he in that show for? It was only 6 seasons, but it was on for 9 years because of the COVID gap in between the last 2 seasons. So yeah, that show's it's really good. It's really, really good. It's not, I don't know if it's one of my like god tier shows like a Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Wire level, but it's really, really solid. And Cillian is phenomenal on it.
I feel like it's the British version of The Sopranos. That's what I called it.
Yeah, pretty
That's a
much.
good way to see it.
Pretty much. Although I'd say it's closer to Sons of Anarchy than Sopranos for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I just think like anything that Cillian is in at this point, it's just always a must watch, because like he was always just been acting for years, but it's just once Peaky Blinders it and then Oppenheimer, it's just like, okay, everybody took notice. Like,
like people have always had some knowledge of him. I feel like ever since the Scarecrow and Batman Begins, like people have always had some knowledge of him, but he's always been more of like a supporting player. And it's really not until like last year with the Oppenheimer phase, that's when he's like been really breaking out. But he's been in stuff forever, like I said, going back to the 2000s, Red Eyes, Sunshine, bunch of different things that I'm currently trying to. What's that one that he was in where he played the trans character? Breakfast on Pluto or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was like something like that. And then a lot of people forget, because I was talking to my friends about this, but he was also in A Quiet Place too.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And he was really good in that.
I think
really good in that.
I think that's when a lot of people were like, okay, shit, like we've had this guy for
Yep.
28 days later. We need to actually start taking him seriously. And
Yep.
then that's kind of like the meteoric
Yep.
rise kind of
Quiet
began with
Place
it.
Part 2, then Peaky Blinders final season was that following January. And then I think also around that time was when Oppenheimer was announced that he was going to be playing Oppenheimer.
And there's
Huh.
oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
There's
No, go
rumor-
ahead.
There's rumors now that for the next Far Cry game, he might be the villain, and he would join a long line with the last villain being Giancarlo in Far Cry 6, and I'd be interested
Dang.
to
What
see.
a surprise! Giancarlo Esposito played a villain in something. Why am I not surprised?
But why
But-
is he so talented as a villain? That's the thing.
Because it's that it's that deadpan stare. It's just
Yeah, I guess.
it's just oh, you're not a big fan of Giancarlo.
No, it's not that I'm not a big fan of him. He's been playing the same role for
He's
15
been
years now.
typecast,
Yeah.
right? You think?
He's literally been playing the same character in 5 different properties for 15 years now, and it's just kind of getting stale. Literally, 15
sick,
years.
You're sick of Gus Fring and like
I
the
am. I'm
boys
sick
and
of Gus
everything.
Fring. Especially since I know he's capable of giving different types of performances.
Oh my goodness.
All right, really quickly, I'm just going to explain what the film is about, and really quickly, and it's based on an adapted book, and it is set in the Christmas time of 1985 when a devoted father, played by Murphy, discovers the startling secrets being kept by the Covenant in his town and some shocking truths about his own life as well. And it gets really into it in the Catholic Church in the book. So it's very interesting. But if you all want to read it, I recommend it. It's out in the bookstores right now. It's a good book. So if you can read it, it's a short read. I recommend it. Mac, what's your next piece of news?
All right, so we got a new trailer alert from this past Monday at the time of recording. Guys, Venom: The Last Dance trailer came out.
God.
It's our
I was hoping we could avoid this, but
it's the last dance. The continuity is all screwed up because it kind of messes up the continuity of No Way Home. This is Tom Hardy said this is it. I'm done after this. Possibly, we don't know. But you know, what you guys think of the trailer? Are you excited for Venom: Last Dance? And did you like Let There Be Carnage? Because that one has a very split fan base for that one.
these
I thought it was
movies-
better. Oh, go ahead, Dom. Sorry.
I was just gonna say these movies. I just can never get rid of these. These movies are like that annoying neighbor. Every time you think you've gotten away from them, they always just show up, and it's just you can never get away from them ever. Like just what I thought. I was hoping beyond hope that this one was gonna get delayed, that we wouldn't have to see it. And it still has its same release date. And of course, everybody's going nuts because of that stupid horse. Venom, the first one, Venom, the first one, I hated. It still makes me angry that movie made close to $1 billion because that movie sucked and was just bad. And I hate that people were like, "Oh, it's fun, it's a good time." It's just like not letting anything go. And I'm like, you people are actually going to dare to say this is a good movie after you just watched 2 of the 3, I would actually argue, of the greatest comic book movies of all time, with Black Panther, Infinity War, and Deadpool 2, and yet you guys are going to give this shit a pass? And then the second one is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I can't even explain that movie.
No.
They're going to blame that on COVID. I'm like, nah, this movie just sucked. Even Woody Harrelson as Carnage couldn't save this. I don't know what Tom Hardy is doing. He just likes doing ridiculous voices. Everybody involved knows that this is a joke. I feel bad for Ruben Fleischer, who I think wanted to make an actual movie with the first one, and then it got hacked to pieces. These movies are a joke. These studios treat it like a joke. They are a joke. I don't understand what it is that people like in it. I don't understand why people continue to watch them. And yeah, I hope this one farts out in the wind and is forgotten like Madam Web.
I didn't like the first Venom. I kind of passed on the Carnage one. I was like, okay, it's fine. And it was funny because I took my husband to see it when it was like released in, what was it, 2021? 2012?
2021.
2021?
Oh,
Yeah. And he liked it in some parts, I think, because of just how goofy and just like how seriously it wanted to take itself. And like we were just like, this is just dumb. And he was like, I had fun. It's kind of like the thing about Madam Web. This theory of that?
Nah,
Like with it? And I pulled it up on our TV the other night and I showed him, I'm like, look, it's Venom. And I said, are we going to see it? And he goes, yeah, we are. Like he knows when there's a bad movie that's going to come out that he knows that we need to pay maybe top tier for. Like we didn't like paying top tier for Madam Web, even though we had a good laugh. But we will pay top tier for Venom because, well, first of all, I love Tom Hardy and I'll just watch him in anything. But
yeah, I just like watching Tom. I understand that Tom Hardy's apparent bar for quality is very, very low. are a
he
lot
did
lower than
Capone
we
for
thought.
he did
Mhm.
Capone for fuck's sake when he shit
But
himself.
like, I wanna watch it. Oh, I got some insider stories about that. Don't believe me, but yeah, I just like watching Tom Hardy in good things, especially since I just got to him on Peaky Blinders, and he's just phenomenal and steals every single scene that he's in. But I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, he likes doing three things. He likes doing crazy voices. He likes hamming it up. And he likes being just the center of every frame that he's in when he's not too busy playing video games in his trailer. And yeah,
Relatable.
everything else that he does is like, yeah, I don't care. He was unfortunately, I'm realizing now in hindsight that he peaked with Bane. And it's really sad because we know that he's got the talent to back it up. He's going to kick ass in the Bike Riders when that comes out in a month. Actually, no, I'm wrong.
No, it's
in
coming up
2
soon.
weeks. In 2
2
weeks.
weeks.
Yeah. Got my dates crossed there. And yeah, I really am not sure what it is that he wants from his career going forward, but 2008 to 12 Hardy was peak. And I don't know if we're going to ever see him have that successful of a string of movies again.
I want him
I think
to do,
he's like, oh, go ahead, Max. Sorry.
I think
Go-
with me, I think his best performance to this day is Charles Bronson from Bronson.
Yeah.
I think that
Oh,
is one of
that's
his
so
most one of
good.
his most underrated, well, actually a very underrated film. Like it's a great film, and
It is a great
being
film.
a history buff, just reading about the real thing is just nuts.
Yeah.
But I think like he can, if he needs to do a role like that where he can have show the range that he has and still do that weird method acting that he does, and I feel like that it. I think he's at a point where he's like, you know what? I can do whatever I want and they'll like me for it. Because I'm like, even with Venom, the first one I thought was just like, what am I watching? At least this is like fun. It's not a good movie, but it's fun. But my problem is that it made money. So Sony was like, we don't need Spider-Man. We can do all these. Venom was kind of the basis of us getting stuck in this Venom whatever verse they're doing with these weird timeline.
Yeah, because that movie making as much money as it did, unfortunately, cursed us for the next. How long has it been since that one came out? 6
About
years.
6 years, yeah.
With all these bullshit follow-ups that they've had.
That's the problem too. Like these, if Venom was not like as successful as it was, we may have never gotten Morbius, Madam Web, Craven the Hunter, or the El Muerto movie before it got canceled. Like Venom kind of started everything, and then nothing.
So what you're
connects
saying
to-
is we need to time travel back and kill whichever executive greenlit Venom is what I'm hearing.
Oh,
correct.
no.
Yeah, yes. We need to, because like it just started this domino effect. And like the thing is, like watching the trailer too, you're like, what is this timeline? They're like, well, the whole thing with the Sony first that I always got annoyed with is like, well, it's their own thing. But I'm like,
But then we
well,
want to be with the MCU.
yeah,
But then we can't
yeah.
be because the MCU is like, get that shit away from us.
yeah, and like we'll mention it in the Madam Web thing, but they do something with like the whole Peter Parker thing, which is dumb. Because I think Tom Hardy even said like, "Hey, we got our own Spider-Man in this." I'm like, who do you have?
Right?
Like,
We haven't seen him yet. It's like if you're trying to hype us up for Andrew Garfield, I don't know if that's going to work. Not for these. I don't even know if Andrew Garfield can save these movies.
He's like, no way, Jose. I don't
Yeah.
think he would even want to touch him.
yeah,
right.
but I don't know. I'll probably go see Venom Last Dance. Just be, honestly, I might wait till it comes on DVD.
I'm gonna need at least one. Listen, the way that this year is going, there's definitely gonna. I don't do a top 10 worst list every year, but the way that this year, I haven't done one since 2021. But the way that this year is going, I'm gonna definitely probably have a top 10 worst, and I will see Venom: The Last Dance because that will most surely make it. So.
Alrighty, so moving on to my last piece of news. I was just scrolling around as we were talking, and I'm so excited because I'm bringing up Jake Gyllenhaal again, like we did at the beginning of the episode. But Jake Gyllenhaal has joined Bride, starring alongside Christian Bale in his sister's movie, The Bride. So, and that's Maggie Gyllenhaal. So I'm excited. This cast is already big enough. Just
What if
give
it
me
turns
this
out like
movie.
Amsterdam and it's not good?
Even if it is like Amsterdam, I'm still gonna watch it. We'll give Amsterdam a pass. Is it good? No, but whatever. No, Jake Gyllenhaal has signed on to that. No word on the role that he's playing. It is set to hit theaters October 3rd of 2025. And we, like I said, we got Christian Bale starring in it, Jesse Buckley, Penelope Cruz, Peter Sarsgaard, and Annette Bening. So this is gonna be like top tier like movie, I think, for 2025 for me. Probably my most anticipated, one of the most anticipated movies. So yeah.
Is this the first time that I mean, well, because Maggie's not starring in this, right? She's just directing.
She's just directing.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I'm like, is this the first time that the two of them have worked together since Donnie Darko?
I'm gonna say, yeah, it's been a minute
I
since
think
they
so.
work with it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Just,
which is great. It makes
Yeah,
me
but
happy.
that means by the time that comes out, it'll be almost 25 years. This is the
Oh
last
my-
time we worked together.
Oh my
Oh.
god.
Which is
I
fucking
feel old.
disgusting because my brother was born that year, which means my brother will be 24 years old by the time that movie comes out, which I want to hurl because that means that I'll be 28.
How do you think I feel when I look
Yeah.
at the calendar that's slowly
Yep.
creeping up on me when I
Yep.
turn 29 soon? So
Yep. I'm literally like, I'm watching the countdown get closer to like 27, and I'm like, oh, goodbye, goodbye, mid-20s, almost 30.
I joke around every time when someone turns 30. I go, "Do you play the Bo Burnham song?"
Ah,
You gotta listen to it and just do
Gotta.
karaoke to it.
You
But
gotta.
anyways, yeah, Mac, are you excited for the Bride?
Gonna be interesting.
I mean, this is also coming out around the time when we're also getting another Frankenstein film.
Yeah,
because Del Toro's Dr. Frankenstein is coming out, which I definitely will be
Mhm.
watching.
I feel
I'm
like
gonna
that
be
might
watching
be
both.
that might be better, but that's just for me because I don't know how Maggie Gyllenhaal is this her directorial debut?
No, her directorial debut
did-
was The Lost Daughter back in 2021, which is a movie so boring, I don't even know how I made it through it.
It was. I was so disappointed how that turned out because when I was working for one of the film festivals I do, she gave a talk and everybody was like in love with it. And from what I was hearing, because I was managing like the ticket booth and what I could hear, I was like, okay, I kind of like what she says. And they showed the film, they did her talk. And then this was like one of the first times in a while where I picked up the book because it was a short enough book. I read it and then I went to go see her do another talk with Dakota Johnson and stuff. It was so bad. Like I remember like my head bobbing in the seats. Like I don't know how she was able to keep my attention the entire time. Like I was like, this book is boring. The movie was boring. I don't know how she's gonna succeed in this next
Yeah.
piece.
One
I'm
of
excited
the
for it.
most boring movies that I've seen in the last couple of years, and I've sat through a lot of bullshit in the last
Yeah.
few years alone.
It's disappointing because it's also like a Netflix thing. Like you can't even say it's like, oh yeah, it's like a Focus Features thing. It's like, oh, it's like an A24 thing. No, this is like one of the bad Netflix films.
Mm-hmm, for sure. Before we got out of here, though, if you minded, could I do the bit on the Beatles?
Yeah, that'll be our
Yeah.
last news topic.
Yeah,
What's our special guest news? Dom, what you got?
Yeah, so literally today, so I don't know if you guys are aware, but Sam Mendes announced as his next project that he was going to be doing 4 separate films, each one focusing on an individual member of the Beatles. It's certainly an ambitious project, an undertaking to say the least. And as of today, we officially have not confirmed, but we have rumored castings for who the 4 Beatles are. And brace yourselves, people, because there is definitely going to be some tidal waves of women getting bowled over by these casting notices specifically. We have Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney. I see what they did there. Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr, Harris Dickinson as John Lennon, and Charlie Rowe as George Harrison as of right now. And I just saw a follow-up news story as well that as of right now, Mescal, Barry, and Harris's schedules have all cleared up. So more than likely, we'll probably get an official casting notice probably sometime within the next couple of days. My only real gripe with that is I think that they missed a golden opportunity to cast Thomas Brody Sangster as George Harrison, since I think he's the spinning image. Also, I just don't think that he's been really getting that much work recently, which I think sucks because he's a great talent. And purely because of the fact that he already played John Lennon in movies that might be stuff. The Beatles, that being, not John Lennon. He already played Paul McCartney in Nowhere Boy, which starred Aaron Taylor Johnson as John Lennon. Directed by his now wife, Sam Taylor Johnson, who also gifted us with the first 50 Shades of Grey movie. So yeah,
And also gifted audiences now with Back to Black. So
that too. So yeah, just a great track record right there. But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on this?
First of all, I didn't know the age difference between them. Holy shit.
yeah,
Not
there's
gonna
a
say.
whole
I'm
thing.
going.
Oh yeah.
I'm
There's a
just gonna.
whole thing, man.
No,
We're gonna
I'm
have-
just asking questions. That's it. But
there
yeah, no,
needs to be
interesting.
an episode where we just talk about
No, we're not.
no,
Oh, I got a
not
whole
the
list.
not
I
just
got a
the
whole list.
relationship, but Sam Taylor Johnson's career in general, because she is a director. I will say she's
Yeah.
Directed 4 movies.
Yep.
so,
He is a director, all right.
I'm just looking now. Thomas Brody as how do you say the name?
Sangster. Yeah, the G
Sangster,
throws it
thank
up,
you.
but yeah, Sangster, yeah. AKA Jojen Reed from Game of Thrones. And also from the
He's
Queen's
from the
Gambit.
Maze Runner.
And the Maze Runner movies. Yes,
And
yes, he is.
and Nanny McPhee. So
Yep.
but anyway, I'm looking right now at a photo of him. I could see the casting of why, but there's a photo I'm looking at him. Like if they did like a present like One Direction movie, I could see why he even looks like Harry Styles in like one
Yeah.
photo. But I understand why. I mean, is it a good casting choice? But I feel like it's a very safe casting choice because, given the fact he's already played like a Beatles person already, like
Yeah, I guess it's also the fact that like the guy who they have playing George, he's the only one I don't really know him. He's not really like a big name. I checked his filmography. He's been in stuff. Obviously, he's around the same age as the rest of the guys. Like he's the same age as Paul Mescal. But like the biggest thing that I knew him in is he plays like a supporting part in the first in the Golden Compass movie, and I didn't know anything else that he'd been in.
He was in
Shout out
Rocket
to
Man.
Golden.
Oh,
Charlie
okay.
Rowe.
Yeah.
He was in Rocket Man, and then I was looking back at it. I haven't watched this film yet, but I'm aware of it. It's called Gigi and Nate, where it's about a monkey, I think. It's another movie. It's based on, I think it's like based on a true story or something. I don't know.
I don't remember if I saw that one or not, or vaguely.
It was like a
heard of
2022 movie. I don't think nobody watched it though.
I like how Sam Mendes is making like 4 movies, and I hope the last movie is like a freaking just like an Avengers with all the Beatles moving together. It's just
it's funny that you actually mentioned that because that's my theory. My theory is that because the whole thing is it's like, why are you gonna have 4 individual movies about all of these guys, especially since they got together so young, except for Ringo, who was, already older by that point. I'm like, but see, what I actually think is happening here is you're right, Mac, is this is going to be like an MCU of the Beatles, where every movie is going to be like a different section of the story, but from a perspective of the 4 different ones, which I'm like, okay, if they're doing that, that's cool, and I'm actually impressed.
I'm just going to interrupt you, but they're doing the filming, like release all at the same time.
Right.
Which is like, why do you do that? Just release them individually so they each can like get the word of mouth.
Listen, they're taking the strategy what they're doing to The Strangers. You release it all in the short amount of time in a year, and you get that for the last 8 all.
You know what would be cool if they released like one Beatles movie for each of the fiscal quarters of the year. So like one movie goes Q1, another movie goes Q2. So like one movie in like March, one movie in like June, one movie in September or October, and then the last one wraps it up in December. I think that would actually be pretty ideal.
Do you know what would be insane? Like in a couple, like when all the 4 movies come out. Imagine the Oscars where they're like,
right.
The
they're gonna be like, how do we honor these?
Story, the Beatles.
Right? We're gonna have to nominate each one of the guys. It's gonna be all 4. The best actor category is gonna be stacked because it's gonna be all 4 guys nominated, and it's all for different movies.
And then it's just gonna be like someone like Benedict Cumberbatch or like Jake Gyllenhaal just standing there like, I'm in this thing. Or like someone like Al Pacino standing there.
That's going to be hilarious when that actually happens.
Look, that's going to be something.
Yep.
Oh, God. That was a good piece of news.
Yeah.
Mac, should we tell the audience if they want to join us on other news? Just send it right on over and maybe we'll talk about it next time.
Yeah, big maybe. I don't know. Well, probably. I don't read. If you have any news, just send it over to the M&K Productions Podcast Instagram. But our topic of tonight, let's go into a documentary about the Australian wildlife known as Furiosa, Mad Max saga. Let's get right into it.
Yes, sir.
I am the great Dementus, beloved ruler of bikerdom.
He wants to take the world. He's mine.
Saga. Rated R. Only in theaters May 24th.
All right, so the topic for the night, we're going to be talking about Furiosa and Mad Max Saga, the sequel/prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, coming after a whopping almost 10 years since Fury Road. Guys, I was a sophomore in high school, or I was just finishing my freshman year of high school when
I was a senior.
Fury Road came out, and now I'm a college graduate with a full-time job and a car. Damn.
I'm married, and my husband hadn't seen a Mad Max movie in theaters, so I got to take him, so that was fun. And I was finishing up my first year in college, so I was doing that, and then I was like, Oh man, time has really passed since I last watched a Mad Max movie, and I love Fury Road, like love it. Like yeah, I loved it so much. I had like so much Mad Max Fury Road stuff. I remember like plastered like in my room. So I was like really excited to see this, and now like knowing it's been like 9 years since the Fury Road, I just feel so old now, knowing. But anyways, man, what's the point of Furiosa?
All right, so this takes place between set 15 to 20 years before the events of Fury Road. For the overall timeline, this actually takes place in I believe during Thunderdome and after it, so it's pretty cool, and it connects to the video game, which I'll mention later. But we follow the origin stories of Furiosa, how she was taken from the green place, and how she fell in with Chris Hemsworth's character as how do you pronounce his name? Demetrius. Demetrius, not Demetrius.
We kept you know what it is? I think it is that we kept thinking of like Dementor, so our immediate I don't know why. Yeah, Demetrius.
It makes sense why you would want to call him Dementor.
Yeah. But we follow how she pretty much became Charlize Theron in Fury Road, and I remember when they announced this, I was like, wait, we're getting another Mad Max movie, but not a sequel. We're gonna get a prequel with Furiosa, and I like Furiosa, and I was like,
not just a prequel spin-off.
Yeah,
because that's got such a great track record of working well. Solo and Lightyear.
Oh, well, Solo. Well, never mind. I can't defend those movies.
We can't even keep a straight face for that one.
Save that one, man.
No, I really can't. No,
exactly.
I was gonna say Solo. I meant to say Lightyear. I was like, well, Lightyear's the movie that Andy saw, so it's technically a movie within a movie.
Well, I thought that was Buzz Lightyear of Star Command.
I don't fucking know anymore. I don't know. I this timeline.
I haven't watched Lightyear yet, so I can't say.
You didn't miss anything.
Yeah, but I'm never watching that movie.
It was so boring. But yeah, Furiosa. So obviously, Fury Road was amazing. Definitely one of the best action films, or just best films of the 2010s. Like, pretty much gave new leash on life to Mad Max, because there hadn't been a Mad Max movie since like, I believe Thunderdome, and that was like what, late 80s, early 90s.
Literally a full 30 years before Fury Road came out, 85 to 2015.
Yeah, so that, and George Miller, who he's back, he's producing, and he was one of the writers on this one.
He directed it.
Yeah, he was working on Fury Road for 20 years. He was working on it so long that we had to replace Mel Gibson for reasons, and we're not going to get into those. But it came out, and he's like, I got more movies, let's do this, and took a sweet ass time with this. It's like he was making another Happy Feet movie, which he didn't, but that's the point. But yeah, Furiosa came out, and now people are debating that is Furiosa better than Fury Road, and we're gonna try to figure this out tonight. So Dom, I want to start with you, because I was on your show a few weeks ago. We talked about Furiosa, and we already know what you think about it, but tell our audience, what did you think of Furiosa?
I mean, the biggest thing that I talked about, I won't go too much into the specifics, because I already talked about that on my podcast on the Talking TV channel, if you guys want to subscribe to it. The biggest thing difference for me between this movie and Fury Road is that this movie actually had a plot to start with. It was actually, you followed this arc, this story that Furiosa kind of went on. You see kind of her origin leading up to the events of Fury Road. But what I think really solidified it for me, besides the fact that it actually had like this really interesting story that utilized its scope in a way that very few movies now actually do. All these movies that are trying to be these big budget spectacles, affairs, and there's really truly only a few people who understand how to actually shoot it properly. Denis Villeneuve is one of them. George Miller is also another one of them. And the thing that I appreciated the most is that this is a movie that was not afraid to embrace its lore. This is a movie that, fully understood it and just went full on into it. It didn't stray away from trying to, actually have its audience follow along with the story rather than trying to hold its hand the whole time. And I especially love that it ended right where Fury Road begins, because the two of them work as these kind of two perfect companion pieces. You could literally, this really is the year of me like putting together these 4 to 5 hour long cuts of movies, because between the Dune master cut that I edited together, I'm probably going to do a Deathly Hallows master cut at some point. And at some point, I'm probably going to do the Furiosa Fury Road master cut. What I'm going to call it, I don't know. But I mean, the two movies just flow together so well that I mean, it just works. And I think I prefer Furiosa a little more because it just again has the grand epic scope, whereas Fury Road is kind of just a 2-hour long third act essentially. And Tom Hardy ages like not fine wine in that movie as the years go on, especially when you realize like what a nightmare he was to work with behind the scenes, and the fact that 90% of his dialogue in the movie is dubbed over. Yeah, yeah, literally, exactly. Yeah, that's kind of like my initial thoughts on it.
Kristen, what about you?
I still prefer Fury Road only because I just have, I think, a soft spot for that, and just knowing I love the epic scale of like what Fury Road is, like with all the cars, the motorcycles, everything that goes on, the big shebangs that happen in that, and then
Big
Furiosa.
shebangs.
Um,
I love it.
But no, Furiosa was. Did I think it was needed? No, but I love George Miller, so I was like, because I studied him a lot in college, so I was like, knowing we were going to get more of this man's work, I was just like, I'm sold. You know, anything that he can do, I will watch, even if it's really bad.
Oh, Happy Feet too.
Exactly.
But no, I was really excited for this. I enjoyed the ride that we went on with seeing more of this character that is Furiosa, and Anya Taylor-Joy just knocks it out of the park with it because, like, she had, like I said this in my review, she had really big shoes to fill for Charlize Theron. She's part of what made Fury Road so incredible. And the facial expressions and the look that she has and she like gives for this film, it's incredible. And I was very, very impressed. I was impressed with the casting of Chris Hemsworth. Like, oh my God, like he was scary good. Like scary good. Like I was like blown away of what he could do. Like, he's played all these corny roles, like whether you watch him in Vacation or Ghostbusters or what remember that one he did with Miles Teller, that was that Netflix film.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that on the podcast.
Yeah,
Spiderhead, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, like all his work was like, I don't care, like this.
Yeah, we were talking about that on the podcast, how like just questioning Hemsworth's career choices outside of the MCU, and it's like he's been trying so hard to be a star, and just none of the projects that he's picked have really worked for him. But I think that's because he hasn't worked with directors that understand how to utilize his talent. The thing that always made stars throughout the 90s and 2000s is that you always had them working with directors who understood how to utilize them. And in the age of IP, where everything is IP driven and directors have essentially become directors for hire in order to execute the latest studio mandated IP, and no one's really a true auteur anymore, you're not going to have that level of directors that understand how to utilize them. And it helps that, ironically enough, crazily enough, the first person that actually understands how to utilize Hemsworth's talent outside of the MCU is a fellow Australian. Crazy. Yeah. What a concept. But also, yeah, this is the first actual role that he's had where he can actually play a character that's not just either a riff on him because he's famous for being Thor, or he's just in a really shitty comedy that doesn't understand how to utilize him,
Well, the last we mentioned that too. The last time that we found like he actually had something like that was like Cabin in the Woods. That was filmed in like 2008. So
Cabin in the Woods, again, it was filmed and supposed to come out in 2008, but didn't come out until 2012.
Yeah.
That was part of a couple of movies that got shelved for whatever reason. And for me, before this, the last like actual movie that he was like really good in was Rush, the racing movie.
Yeah, that was like 2013.
2013, right. That one was great. But since then, not
everything
much.
Was like even like given how just poor the last Thor movies, I was like, okay, I could pass on this because I like him as Thor. Just the whole movie itself was not good. Like, and then everything else was just like, and everything else is like, so rocky when you don't look at him like in the Thor films, it's like his versatility doesn't really show. Yes, he can like do all these like fun roles, like starring in the Ghostbusters, starring in films like Spider-Man, and like, you know, doing all these like cool concept projects. It's just the way that he was delivering the character, or what he was given, it just doesn't work. What he delivered in, you know, Furiosa is something like he has never done before in like the grand scale, that really like plays with like his kind of like his like, I want to say like emotions, like his, you know, it looks
He's
at his
very
family side, it looks at like the stuff
he's
going on with Furiosa. It goes like, it takes him in different directions where it really explores his character as an actor, you
that
know?
he's charismatic. Chris Hemsworth's actually a very
Yeah.
charismatic actor, and
Yeah.
like, you know, like you mentioned it before, Dom, like he is like, when you know how to use him right, he actually
Yeah.
can give you like great gold. And I felt
Almost
like
there's a reason why he was cast as Thor, because he is charming and
He's very
charismatic.
charming, yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
and it does. And Christian, you are right. Like this does give him roles, because you do see that, you know, maybe there's a side of him, his character, like I almost said Demetrius, Dementus has layers to him in a way,
Mhm.
in like a
Yeah, he
weird way.
does.
And like, you know, when
A
I ended up seeing this movie twice, and I was like, wow, there actually is like a lot they're saying about his character, because even like there's like oh, I guess we can spoil it a little bit because this movie's like damn near a month old. But
Yeah.
the scene when Immortan Joe's like, I want her, he was like, no, you can't have her. Like he was just like hesitant to give her away. I was like, oh,
Specifically when Joe is like, "Oh, I'll make her one of my wives," and
yeah,
Dementis is like, "Nah."
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah. So, but then I also like the teddy bear. I really want to bring that up. That teddy bear, that poor teddy bear, has been through a lot in that film.
Yes.
That was another whole character in that film.
Yes, it was.
It's like the Fiji water from Bullet Train.
Literally.
We just need to follow that.
Thrown through the craziness.
Yep.
And then ended up with a Barbie doll arm
Yep.
at the end.
What did you guys? So I guess with Furiosa, it does raise a question: do we really need Mad Max to make a Mad Max film? And do you think
No.
like do you think
No.
it being called a Mad Max saga was a way to be like, don't worry, it's still Mad Max, we swear, because it has been a long time since Mad Max was in the theaters, and like, you know, a lot of people who are younger didn't see it. This is going to be their first Mad Max movie in theaters.
Well, I mean, there's two different things to break down, right? There's the inherentness of, do we need this as far as the story goes? But then there's the question that I have, which is kind of the studio's thought process in greenlighting this, especially when we know that Hollywood studios are in such a bad point as far as they've been spending a little. COVID kind of showed that they were spending a little bit too much and really not getting the same bang for their buck, especially given audiences' proclivities to still really only go out and maybe see 1-2 movies in a theater at best, and for the most part just wait for everything else at home. So on top of the fact that Hollywood has not been doing a good enough job of incentivizing people to go out and watch movies in theaters, and the fact that theaters are frankly way too fucking expensive, way too expensive, so there's that. And then you wonder why they're still blowing between $100 to $250 million on movies, and then scratching their heads and wringing their hands when, surprise, surprise, they're not making the money back that they should, you know?
Mhm.
So there's that. Then you have, but that's kind of, I feel like, a separate argument. As far as the whole within a story, my whole thing is, as long as it's good and there isn't like kind of this underlying narrative that you would see across something like, say, like a Lord of the Rings, or more recently like a Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, make as many of them as you want. You know,
Mhm.
make as many of them as you want. Make as many Fast and Furious movies. Make as many. What are some other? Make as many James Bond movies.
That's like even saying with the X-Men, what's like what coming out with the Deadpool thing, because you
Right.
know Deadpool was like a supporting character in like, you know, the X-Men movies, and then he got his
Right.
backstory stuff from what we saw in the
Right.
first Deadpool, the second Deadpool, and
Right.
now we got a third Deadpool, and even though none of them are going to be like, you know, quote unquote connected,
Right.
you can do as many ones as you want, as
My-
long
my-
as the
my-
story is good. Like
Yeah,
what you're
exactly.
saying.
My whole thing with it is that as long as it doesn't disrupt the story, right? Because there's two types of movie series, right? There's
Mhm.
sequential movie series, right? Where you kind of do have the underlying story. And then you have ones where there kind of really is no story. They're just kind of a series of installments, as I call them, you know? Kind of the equivalent of, say, like there's HBO and then there's just regular network TV. Regular network TV, it's just there. You just keep watching the next one. You just keep coming back to watch your favorite characters over and over again, and then there's the HBO, which is one where, okay, we're actually going to get a story. It's good that's going to be spread out across multiple installments. We're going to get a beginning, middle, and ending act. We're going to follow these characters on an arc and a journey, and the Mad Max movies have never really been about that. I guess you could sort of make the argument maybe about the first two Gibson movies, but after that, like once we get to Beyond Thunderdome, it's like, nah, not really. Like there's for example, right? Perfect example, right? The Jason Bourne movies. The first three Jason Bourne movies, the reason why those movies are so special is because you follow the arc of Jason Bourne across those movies. And the reason why the 4 and 5 that you get after them doesn't work is because, okay, now these are just random add-ons, but the story of Jason Bourne was finished,
Mhm.
versus the James Bond movies, you've seen how many different iterations of Bond, you've seen how many different actors play him, you've seen how many different movies from him, but they're all kind of the same. They're all just, he's going on different adventures, he's taking out different bad guys, and there's really no underlying arc, And then, of course, you get into the comic book iterations, but the comic books, as we know, as we've dissected over the last couple of years, follow their own sets of rules, But perfect example, right? The Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, as opposed to the greater overarching Batman universe, where no matter how many Batman movies you make going forward, you have that initial Nolan trilogy, which for me is like the golden god tier template as far as every Batman story going forward.
You could even say that now what's going to be the Matt Reeves story too, what's upcoming, that's happening because, because then this also brings up the point, if I'm saying the Matt Reeves stuff, this brings up, what we're going to get later on in the fall, and that is the Penguin series.
Right.
That could maybe clump it or just like tell its own, like, where it's telling its own tier and getting sidetracked and just, still being part of the universe, as long as the story is good. I think nobody cares in the end how it's all essentially like connected in the end. I think people like everybody wants just a good story.
I think in the wake of Marvel, the studios definitely overestimated how much people actually care about how interconnected something is, because I think we saw that like with a couple things that they really tried to make interconnected post MCU, and also while the MCU was running, and it's like, we don't care,
Yeah, because nowadays, if you look at Marvel, nobody cares if you missed the Eternals. Nobody cares if you didn't watch Echo. Like nobody cares. Like it's because it's like, even though it's all connected, it feels like so disjointed, like you didn't watch it because it's like nobody cares for the property anymore, which is
right. And especially if you even look back at the
sorry, go ahead.
Well, especially even if you look back at the Infinity Saga, the whole thing about that is it's like, sure, you could argue that was a series, I guess, but really that was more of like just a moment in time, we're kind of this big hype wave that would build upon all of these movies, like there was a long period of time nobody knew that like the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy and Black and all of them were connecting until they started showing up in each other's movies,
Yeah.
Well, the thing too with Mad Max is like what has been kind of like hinted at is that the thing with Mad Max, what makes it work is that his character is like a roaming nomad. He will never stick to one story. And it's like, for the first 3 movies, it was just us following Max in his wasteland. And like I mentioned before on your show, on your podcast, like the Mad Max world in its own is its character, because we don't really know. We get hints of like what may have happened in the first movie, but there's never really been a deep dive on how we got to the point of where we were in the first movie. And I feel like stories like this, like Furiosa, kind of going into more details on different perspectives in the wasteland, that could work. And you don't really necessarily have to have Max be there to tell stories like, hey, he's here, he's having his own adventure, but he's a nomad, so he's not going to be going around with everyone else. And I think that works perfectly for that. And
we literally get a random cut to in this movie of Max chilling in his car.
Honestly, that was
at the
pretty cool.
beginning of, like, from what it was and from the Fury Road, and I was like,
it wasn't Fury Road. It wasn't Fury Road. It was where we got the cameo from him.
Yeah, in Furiosa.
Oh no, that was actually that connects to the video game, because that's him during the video game.
Because it connects to the go ahead, you can go on from the video game part.
Yeah, so the reason why the 2015 video game that came out, which was a tie-in to like the Mad Max world, and George Miller actually helped write it, but then he later recently came out and said, yeah, that game was shit, I hated it. And the studio was like, what the hell, man, you helped us write the game, we can only do so much with the game, dickhead. But so the reason why it connects it to it is because Gastown is actually a set piece in the game, and that's where the final boss is. And the final boss is Scrotus, and you kill Scrotus in the video game. That's why he doesn't show up.
I'm sorry, that name is never not gonna make you laugh. I
No.
remember
Yeah.
it was so funny because I remember when I remember when I saw it with my buddy Maximos almost a month ago when it came out. And literally, as soon as they said Scrotus, we both turned to each other and cracked up laughing because I completely had forgotten about him in Fury Road.
Yeah, so he gets killed by Max in Fury in the game, and because they stole his car and everything. So
Yeah.
you could kind of see maybe that connects to, and that kind of leads into the events of Fury Road. And what we see in the ending of Furiosa, it does kick off the events with Fury Road, and that made it interesting with everything. But yeah, no, the video game is just, I thought the game was cool. It was like Twisted Metal but Mad Max, but it does well, it connects it well. And I never read the comic books, to be honest, so I don't even know what the comic books do for Mad Max.
The thing that I give this movie the most amount of credit for is George Miller's adherence, like I said, to his lore, but also adherence to his own continuity, at least as far as the prequel movies go, where he literally brings back, again, with the exception of Hugh Keith Byrne, who unfortunately passed, so he gets a new actor to play Immortan Joe. With the exception of Immortan Joe, obviously, he pretty much brings back every supporting player that played Immortan Joe's entourage in Fury Road. And again, props to the makeup team and everything, because because this is a prequel prior to Fury, set prior to Fury Road, but released after. And you can't tell that it's been 9 years since you saw these guys. Like, they don't fall victim to what I call the Better Call Saul trap, which, again, as much as I loved Saul, it was so glaringly obvious that all the returning legacy figures from Breaking Bad were significantly older than they were when they were in Breaking Bad,
No,
And
it's true.
Yeah.
The thing too is that, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The
I was
guy-
just like, sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
the guy that Lacey Holm, who played Morton Joe, he did a good job with it, because just because I can believe the original actor passed away, and actually the original actor was the villain in the first movie, which
Yes,
is crazy.
I did. Yes, I did know that.
Was
Yes, I
tied
did know
to
that.
That is, man, he was tied to this series.
Yes,
I love
he
it.
was.
But the guy who's taking over him, he actually does a great job of being a younger Morton Joe, and I can see I can see this guy going to what we know Morton Joe is in Fury Road, and I think that they did a good job with that casting.
For sure.
It's kind of scary how similar he looks to him, because I forgot the original actor of Immortal Joe, passed away when I was sitting in the theater. I was like, oh yeah, that's the guy. And then I was like, oh wait, after the movie rolled, and I was like, oh wait, the guy passed away. I was like, that's really good casting and makeup.
Again, props to the makeup props and costume department.
So, Mac, I don't know if you have any questions before, or anything you want to talk about before we wrap it up, but I just have one question I would like to go over with both of you.
Of course.
So we usually always get that one big budget film that's nominated at the Oscars. I think it's going to be this for the 2025 year. It's going to be Dune Part 2. But do you think there could be a slight chance we can get some Furiosa nominations?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think it's happening.
No.
It was a box office bomb.
Yeah.
And it was all but forgotten, unfortunately, 2 weeks after it came out. If anything, it'll get visuals. And obviously,
Maybe
probably the technicals, but this is not going to have the same impact that Fury Road did, unfortunately. It's going to be Dune is going to win everything this year, including, and I'm still saying this, that Dune is winning picture and director. I really don't think there's a movie that's going to come close to it.
Okay, interesting. So, we're still riding the Dune train all the way. I still did enjoy, and I still loved Furiosa in general. I gave it like an A-. I don't think it's A+ still material for Furio for me, because since I loved the experience and everything of what Fury Road was, I still enjoyed it. I don't know if when I was talking about this with my husband, because we both almost have a similar ranking list for this year. I'm kind of torn for my top three. Right now I have it as Dune, then I have Fall Guy, and then I have Furiosa. I'm like, oh, do I like the Fall Guy more or Furiosa more? That's the vote I'm in.
Yeah, same. Dune is still number one. Fall Guy and Furiosa, I go back and forth on. It depends on the day, honestly, because Furiosa's got the epic that epic lore nature of it. But Fall Guy, like I said, that's just a movie that just is made for me. I don't know what it is about David Lynch, but he just completely understands how to make movies that are specifically made for me that I will love.
Yeah, and the fact that like what the Fall Guy was, it was like made for movie lovers, like in general. So
actually,
Matt,
I think my favorite film of the year so far is still Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Close second would probably be Civil War, and third's like The Beekeeper.
Ugh, I hate Civil War. I hate Civil War so much.
Didn't we talk about that on your show?
We did, yes.
Yeah, we did. I feel like felt like forever ago.
Yeah.
But but we'll see how the rest of the year turns out, because we got a couple
Yeah,
of
there's
other
a
strong
shit ton of
contenders.
Yeah,
there's a lot.
Yeah, we do.
But Dune's probably gonna be the dominating film of the year, to be honest.
It's gonna be. I literally said this when it came out. I'm like, every other movie this year can pack it up and go home, and so far I have not been wrong.
Because I'm like, the only other movie that I see people actually excited for is literally just Deadpool Wolverine. Because I'm trying to think of everything. Maybe A Quiet Place day one, but that's like, I don't know. And then like, I guess maybe Twisters and
I have a feeling could have a sneaky chance of like making it as a summer blockbuster.
Twisters is gonna bomb because it's the Mission Impossible of this year, and that it's the opening up a week before. It's literally the exact same instance, same release pattern and everything, in that it's opening up 1 week before the summer event. Last year, Mission Impossible got screwed by Barbenheimer, and this year, it's Twisters is going to get screwed by Deadpool and Wolverine. My prediction is that there's only going to be one more financially profitable movie for Hollywood this year after Deadpool and Wolverine. It's only going to be one, and that's Sonic 3 at Christmas.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I forgot.
That's the only one.
I forgot Sonic was coming out this year.
Every other movie this year is either gonna barely meet its requirement in order to be considered a success, or it's gonna bomb.
I think other movies like Alien, Romulus. I don't
that's
think
gonna bomb.
I'm hoping that could be like a late summer / beginning of the school year surprise. People are like kind of don't have much to do. They go to see a movie. I'm hoping, because that's happened with August movies before.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. But I'm not holding my breath. I think that'll be well received. I think that'll be a good, solid movie for sure.
And it's coming out 7 years to the date of Alien Prometheus.
And then we got Crow. We got Blake Twice.
Alien Covenant. You mean
Covenant? Shit. Whoops. Wrong movie.
Was it Covenant in May of 2017? And then one's in August?
I thought it was August 2017.
I could have sworn because I saw Covenant when it came out in theaters. That was the week after Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That was May.
You were right. It is May 19th.
Yep.
I bet. But can you believe it's been 7 years since Aliens? Oh my god!
Don't even remind me. Remember when I thought the 2017 was an awful year for movies? Oh, how wrong I was.
Mm-hmm. The only other one I could think of, because of the success of it, I mean, there's only like 3 movies I think where we could see like great financial outcome, and that is maybe Beetlejuice, maybe,
but I'm not holding my breath.
I know they're late on the game for that. They are very late with with the timing of that. I know, but I still don't have an interest of seeing Beetlejuice, but maybe because of nostalgia.
I'll say this about Beetlejuice. It does look, I'll say this, and I never thought I would hear myself saying this about a sequel that came out 30 years after the original, actually 35 this year. Actually, no, 36. And I can do math. And yeah.
Okay, it doesn't matter here.
Yeah, exactly. It does look good. Like, I enjoyed the trailers, and I think there is something to Michael Keaton coming back to the role that made him a star. And it's clear from the trailer that he has lost absolutely none of the juice. Absolutely none of the juice. And also, I think it's funny that 1 year after he returned to another iconic role of his from the 80s, Batman, he's back as Beetlejuice. I thought that was pretty funny. But no, I think that looks good. Now, whether it be a financial success, that I doubt. But I don't know. That one, although I'll say again, if it's actually good and it spreads because of word of mouth, and like the legacy of Beetlejuice, I know it had the Broadway run as well, so that could do something with the theater community. You're right. Don't sleep on Beetlejuice. I'll give you that, Kristen. That was a good pick.
And then 2, they're both involving sequels. Say what you want. Joker. The Joker sequel.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Joker.
shit! I forgot all
You're right.
about that.
I forgot about
I
Joker.
think
Joker will do well.
Given how well it's done,
but you know what the difference is between Joker and every other movie that we just announced?
Yeah.
Under $100 million budget.
Yeah.
Under $100 million budget, which is the same reason why the first one was as big of a success, because the first one on a budget of, hold on, I'm looking it up right now. The first one on a budget of $55 million grossed $1 billion.
Yeah.
And now this sequel that's coming
It's
out.
200 million budget.
Oh, God damn it. Come on. Oh, never mind then. I'm wrong. That's, I'm sorry. It's not making $1 billion. No shot.
I don't think it has a shot. I think it has the potential to make of what?
I think
Guardians of Galaxy.
Yeah,
remade.
I'd go a Guardians of the Galaxy level where it makes probably between like roughly 700 and 800 million, but this one's not touching $1 billion.
No, I don't
way.
think it's touching that. I do think there is a chance. It could overtop Deadpool and Wolverine.
That's going to be interesting. I think what it's going to come down to is the longevity of which movie lasts longer in theaters, because Deadpool, if Deadpool can kind of be like the summer event that they're kind of, like Barbenheimer and then Top Gun the year before, if Deadpool can be the summer event, and that's coming out in late July too, I could very easily see them keeping that in theaters like through to September, maybe October, in time for Oscar season, especially because like that movie is going to be that with how the summer is going, that movie is going to be big. There's two others that I wanted to throw your guys' way as far as box office wise, right? So you have M. Night Shyamalan's Trap, which again doesn't seem like it's slated to be a success, but given that it only has a budget of, actually, no, they don't even say what the budget is. But given that it's kind of primarily set in one location and doesn't have a huge cast, I have a feeling that probably has a very, very low budget. So even if that movie doesn't make like a ton of money in theaters, it could do well. And the other one that everyone's forgetting about, the big Thanksgiving movie of the year that's opening opposite Moana 2, Gladiator 2.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of that one?
I forgot that was coming out too.
I think they might delay it.
Really?
There's a part of me that feels like there's no chance they can have this movie ready in time.
Really?
There's
I feel
part
that.
of me that feels like I don't know if it's ready for that. I think the problem with me with the Gladiator 2 sequel is that it should have been a blockbuster summer thing. It should have been.
Yeah.
And if Ridley Scott wants to say, maybe we need to do some more special effects stuff, say something crazy, saying, "Oh, we got to conduct the music better." Say something.
Well,
I think they should push it, because I think they need to do that.
Well, not to mention the fact that Ridley's success rate of releasing movies at Thanksgiving has been absolutely horrible the last 7 years. Every movie that he's released at Thanksgiving the last 7 years has been an absolute stinker. Not to mention the fact that Ridley's track record to begin with was already not great. He really only had about like one great movie every 6 to 7 years, just about, and so far, like I said, we get one iconic Ridley movie per decade: Alien for the 70s, Blade Runner for the 80s, Thelma and Louise for the 90s, Gladiator and The Kingdom of Heaven director's cut, and Black Hawk Down. So we got 3 for the 2000s, and then honestly, with how bad his movies in the 2010s were, I would go Prometheus for the 2010s, because
I enjoyed this is released in 2021. I still enjoyed The Last Duel.
Hated The Last Duel.
Well,
I despise The Last Duel.
Good advice is don't insult your audience that goes to see their movies either, and don't rip on people like, well, you historians suck it.
Yeah.
Like,
how about the fact that, how about just make a better movie and maybe you won't come under as much fire,
Well, the thing too, I feel like Gladiator should be moved, but I'm probably gonna say it's probably not gonna be moved, because they're really gonna try to release it then, because they're gonna try to get Oscar baits for that one.
Yeah, they should, but they can get it in 2026 if they really wanted to, because for me, I know you said Gladiator 2, we got Moana 2 sneaking in there,
right.
and
we have Wicked. We have Wicked is also opening that week.
That's true.
So, I don't see it becoming #1 at the box office, because honestly, everybody's probably going to go see Moana 2, and then if Moana's sold out, then all right, we got the next musical, Wicked 2.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go to
It's
see
funny
Wicked.
that you say Moana 2 is going to be the one that everybody watches, given Disney's track record recently, and also given how Wish bombed last year. I'm saying Wicked is the movie that everyone's going to go see.
Whatever they see. I mean, there's like 2 family-oriented related films, because the fact I feel like Gladiator's probably going to be rated R. How many people want to take their kids to that? You know, they're like, oh yeah, it's Paul Pascal. Oh, it's Pedro Pascal's in it. You know, everybody gets excited for them.
I really just want to know the thought process that went into like making it. You know, that's really just what I want to, like, what prompted it, especially since I believe it, like, Connie Nielsen, I think, is the only returning cast member for this movie. I think everybody else is new. You know, Mescal, Pedro, Joseph Quinn, Denzel. I don't know if I'm missing somebody else. I think those are the primary 4.
Barry was supposed to be in it too.
Barry was supposed to be in it, and then
he dropped out.
And then Quinn replaced him when he dropped out.
So I think I'm really saying, and there could be a chance they just move it to the next summer, and I think that would save their butts.
Yeah, I think that personally that would be the smart move. Honestly, I do definitely see this getting delayed. Can I just go on a rant about Wicked for a second and how just
I love rants. I'm not seeing Wicked, so go ahead.
All right. So here's basically how it goes, right? I'm gonna take you guys back. I want to say this was about 2002, 2003, I believe, was when I saw this. I'd have to check my math. I'd probably have to ask my parents about the specifics. And going out of the city, you know, when my parents, back when my parents would still take us to the city to watch Broadway plays all the time younger. I don't know how they made it through it, as young as they were. And my parents would drive us down to the city, and we would see Broadway plays. A lot. I remember seeing Tarzan. We saw Lion King for my 10th birthday. But my fun with Kristen and Adina, that has always been a fond memory of mine.
Really?
It's one that's only gotten better as time has gone on. And just something about that play that always really stuck with me. That always really, really stuck with me. And by all rights, this is a story and a property that I should have absolutely hated. You know, I'm like, it's about 2 women who are competing for the attention of a male wizard. And then one discovers that, surprise, surprise, everything is corrupt. But it's so much more than that, just based on kind of the inner, how it basically breaks down the land of Oz and kind of the inner, like, politics and kind of inner racism that kind of drives it, you know? And how it essentially is an X-Men First Class-esque origin story of the story between 2 people who are best of friends. And then ultimately, unfortunately, because they fall on opposite sides of the ideological struggle, they're kind of doomed to become enemies, you know? And there's just something about that, combined with the phenomenal soundtrack, that always, always, always rang true for me. And there's a reason why it's my absolute favorite Broadway musical. And there's a reason why I felt like when I saw that absolute piece of shit CGI, I'm not even going to call it a vomit fest, a CGI jerk-off fest that I saw with fucking Ariana Grande's mech doll replica that they've gotten, because I refuse to believe that that's actually Ariana Grande. In there as Glinda, for that absolute, like, just, I felt like my soul was getting yanked out of my body. I literally felt like it was the scene in Starship Troopers where the giant bug queen sinks its mandible into the one dude's head and drains his brain out. That's what I literally felt like watching that trailer. Like, there aren't words to describe how much disappointed I am. I'm like, I don't have the energy to hate movies. But when I tell you the amount of vitriol that I have for the director for taking on this project, John M. Chu, the director of Crazy Rich Asians and Now You See Me Too. Good director for the most part. For the cast.
And In the Heights, too.
And In the Heights, exactly. For the visual team, specifically. For the studio, for green-lighting this project. I have never seen something that makes me want to commit arson against the entire studio of Hollywood as badly as I do. But I have very strong feelings, to say the least. And this will be, I will be surprised if this is not one of the most viewed podcasts that I have when I absolutely tear this movie a new one when it comes out in November. And on top of everything else, it's a part 1. As if I haven't had enough of fucking multi-part movies in Hollywood and how much I despise them.
Okay,
That's
so
it,
I just have to just say it out there. If I want to see rant, if I don't get to see Wicked, I do want to come on that episode and just laugh, because I would have never taken you as a Wicked person.
Yeah, Yeah, it's one of the it's one of those things that people don't know, but yeah, I'm a big Wicked fan.
That's really funny. Did you read the book?
I did not know, but the musical was, like I said, that is a core memory for me right there.
I remember going to see it. I think we talked about this on the podcast, but
I'm pretty sure we did.
But when I saw it like years ago on Broadway, but I don't remember who was in it active. Yeah, but that was the time in my period.
I'm tempted to go and see it again. Because like I said, it's a Broadway like staple now. But I know the tickets are going to be expensive, and like I'm just worried that like.
Oh, they're gonna go up since with the movie.
Oh, I know.
They're gonna go.
Yep, they're gonna go way out. I don't know if it's gonna have the same effect. I don't.
I don't think so.
This
is for the Ariana Grande fans and the Broadway fans.
Yep.
So I don't know if I'm still probably going to see it. Probably not, but I do want to. If I have to see it, I will watch it because of you. Because I only want to see you just rant.
Yeah.
And I know I will probably rant too because that trailer. I think we talked about it. Did not look
one of the worst trailers I've seen recently. It's
one of the worst trailers I think I saw so far this year.
Yeah.
Besides.
Yeah. And then when they started playing the notes of Defying Gravity, which is one of my all-time favorite songs, not just Broadway songs. At the end, like literally, I thought my heart was going to just rip itself out of its chest and just go running off. And it was just going to be my corpse left in the theater. Like,
I'm just curious how popular it's going to turn out.
Ariana Grande's robot voice.
No. Well, she did the popular song, like back when she released her first album, if y'all know.
Yeah, back when she was still a human being before she got mechanized by Hollywood.
Alrighties, Mac.
Anyway, Furiosa was a good movie, by the way. I don't know. Yeah.
Love Taylor-Joy.
We kind of just went to our third segment anyway. So Furiosa was good. I give it an A-. Great film. But I
went off the rails this time again.
But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap it. I'm fucking tired. It's 11:18 p.m. Dom, where can the good folks find you?
At Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms, at Official Talkin' TV Podcast across all platforms. Be sure to subscribe to the Talkin' TV on YouTube and follow us on Twitch as well.
Awesome.
I was gonna say, I got a long day. Don't forget to follow us, y'all.
Yeah, and what's our next episode?
Next, I guess you really want to do it. I guess we'll put Hitman on hold, but we will do Adam Webb.
Yes, it will be live. We're gonna do that shit live. Fuck it, we'll do it live.
I'm gonna be very, very, very drunk for that episode. You guys might get
flagged. That's the only thing I ask.
You guys might see drunk Dom on that episode. That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't mind, but just don't get us flagged.
I will not get you guys flagged. I promise.
We got it. All right, so that means we got Dom. We got to bring on Rod. We got to bring on our Dakota Johnson King
historian,
right? And King and fanboy.
Has she been in enough movies to warrant having a history?
I guess so.
She has been. She just was in a new movie now, the one that's just coming out on Max. That was like premiered at Sundance like almost 2 years ago.
Well, she needs a sandwich, so Madam Web didn't really produce anything. But until next time, we will see you all in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.